joined today by author Stephen B. Watson, and he is the author of a new book that I am excited for him to tell us about, which is called Time is on Your Side. Stephen, first of all, thank you for meeting with me today. I'm excited to hear about this book. Let's kick this off by having you tell us about the book.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. Time is on Your Side centers around a family that is based in Detroit. About a half dozen members of that family, and the main character is a history teacher, a high school history teacher, single woman in her 40s. Other characters are her father, who is in an illegal trade and a criminal. Her aunt, who is a retired, church-going woman. A cousin, who is dealing with abuse, who is dealing with domestic violence at home. An uncle who is a veteran, who is in a wheelchair, and so those are some of the characters, the story revolves around it has different plots. The main character, Allison's, one of her main focuses is educating getting the best out of her students, as well as getting the best out of herself. She one of her former students is actually a mentee of hers, and she's dealing with mental health struggles. So that becomes and that story evolves throughout the course of the novel. The novel is really an inspiration. My aim is to inspire, so it is an inspirational novel that wants to where it's clear that my focus is that my reader grows and uses my literature as a means to understand me, a person like myself, or a person like Allison, the city of Detroit, the Black American experience, the Black woman experience. I also have a homosexual character, Dion, Allison's cousin, and that's important because in the world we live in now, these are the type of I introduce into the novel the type of relationships and interactions and everyday occurrences that are typical for people to understand. And I hope that readers find my writing to be articulate and eloquent and funny at times. Also heart-wrenching at times as well. So overall, that's a summary of the book.
Well, gosh, it sounds like a novel that I would love to read because I love all of those things, and with a little bit of funny thrown in there as well. And it also sounds like it's quite a melting pot of people and life experiences that people can either draw from on their own or they can learn from. So I love that. I'm curious to know, what was finally the moment for you that you said, okay, I'm going to actually put pen to paper and I'm going to write this book? Was there something that really inspired you forward to write it?
Yes. Before I began writing, I took some time and I thought I actually put an outline down on paper about the things, my own passions and things that my own interests and my own values, and I was schematic about it. I thought about the fact that one of my passions is history, and I thought about the fact that I'm an avid reader, and I believe that many of the people who our history lovers like myself are also avid readers. They read history books and things like newspapers, things like that. So that I'll just start with that. With Alice's character as a history teacher, that I actually had machinations of being a history teacher at one point in my life, and so that passion that drive is still there for me. So it was real easy for me, and it made sense. It was pragmatic for me to choose a history teacher as my main character, because it was easy for me to write about her, to speak, to view things from her viewpoint, um, as well as her being a black woman. I also, also I must mention that Allison. I also was inspired by the fact that many of the people who I have come in contact with throughout my life, who have had who have had an appreciation for Black American history, history in general, are actually people who may not look like me, who may be of a lighter color or a different ethnicity. So Allison is actually an African American woman, but when people look at her, they generally see a Caucasian woman. So that's one viewpoint of the story through which the lens of the story can be viewed. Uh, from that standpoint, that she has a unique perspective, being a woman of that complexion, and so ultimately, it's the book, the religious aspect is something else I wanted to introduce to readers. My own how strong my relationship is with the Almighty, and my upbringing, and what the church means to me, and what the church means, and the relationship of the church in the world that we live today. It's a changing relationship. A lot of people don't go to church as much anymore. So I found it important to give a realistic sketch of the world as I see it. Some of us are more spiritual. We might, as Corn, Allison's father, as he does, we might watch televangelists on television, or read books written by famous theologians and clergymen. Uh, so the the city of Detroit. I love the city of Detroit. I am a Detroit native, so for those of us from Detroit, there is a love that just like a lot of people have for their native cities. So we definitely have a love, a pride, and a love for our city. So those are some of the things that I as well as a host of other different uh, different things that are mentioned in the book, like domestic violence, which I've already mentioned, um, police brutality, mental health care, which I've mentioned, um, racism. Um, yeah,
I mean, it
that's
just,
a summary.
yeah, no, it sounds absolutely fascinating. You know what? It sounds like one of those books that people can be 10 different people can be drawn to for 10 different reasons. And you've really encapsulated this experience that people can draw to from different angles and have different viewpoints. And I absolutely love that. Before we end, I need to ask you, is there anything else that you could share or that you would like to share about the book?
Yes. Although Time is on Your Side is a book uh, that can be read by people of all ethnicities and all ages. Um, my target group is the African American woman. Uh, they do more reading than us black men, and I also know as somebody who has always been able to relate to black women from a very unique perspective as a black man. Um, I think that women in general will appreciate the my character portrayals, the language, a lot of the language that I choose, and the overall inspirational mood of the book.
Well, again, the book is called Time is on Your Side, and it is by author Stephen B. Watson. I want to encourage you to go out and grab this book. I think you are absolutely going to love this novel. So let me tell you a few places that you can get it. And this is an extensive list. These are just the big ones. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Apple iTunes. It's also available as an ebook if you like to instant download and read on the go. I'm definitely one of those people. So I encourage you to go out and grab this book. I think you're absolutely going to love it. Stephen, thank you again for joining us. Thank you for sharing just a little bit about this book. And I can't wait for readers to actually read it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.